Let's talk about how to pass the Deutsche Bank video interview. Today we're going to be talking about the German banking giant Deutsche Bank and how you can pass their first round HireVue video interview. In this video I'm going to start off with 5 fast facts about Deutsche Bank which you can use in your answer, why do you want to work for Deutsche Bank? Then we're going to talk about the format and process that you can expect for the video interview or first round interview, and then we're going to be going through 7 common questions that we picked out and how to think about answering each of these questions. Fact number 1, Deutsche Bank was founded in 1870 and played a key role in developing Germany's finance system and also their system of import and export. The reason why the bank was financed is previously, up until this point, German companies would have had to use British or French companies to facilitate exportation. This is mainly because German bills were not placed as good as French or British bills. So the 3 founders got together, one of whom's father's cousin actually founded Siemens, the world famous German electronics company as we know it now. And this allowed German businesses to operate with impunity, to be able to export their own goods without having to rely on British or French financial institutions. Fact number 2, many people falsely believe that Deutsche Bank is the largest bank in Germany, with assets under management of just over 1.3 trillion euros. But in fact, the largest financial institution in Germany is called the, here's some German, Sparkassenfinanzgruppe. Please let me know if you speak German. You can let me know how much I just annihilated. Sparkassenfinanzgruppe. Hey, did I take GCSE German? Oh no, I didn't. Last time I spoke German was when I was 14. Anyway, which is a combination of numerous public banks in Germany. This is probably because Deutsche Bank as an individual bank is Germany's largest bank, but this group is certainly much bigger in terms of assets under management. Fact number 3, Deutsche Bank set an ambitious, sustainable finance investing goal of giving out 500 billion euros to companies directly involved in sustainable investing and financing by 2025. Fact number 4, Deutsche Bank, much like all of the investment banks, has gotten heavily involved in AI and cooperated with DWINS to provide a financial investing AI-based app called Finanzguru, which analyzes people's banking habits and their transactions to provide them with suggestions and advice about what they can do with their money moving forward. Fact number 5, this video is going to be published not long after Deutsche Bank announced their Q3 results, and they had a 7% uptick in their profits for the quarter of 1.7 billion euros. This was actually their highest pre-tax profit for Q3 for any quarter since 2006. Okay, so don't worry, I'm not going to try to speak or butcher any more German. Let's talk about what's the process that you can expect for Deutsche Bank. As I often get asked a lot of questions, we do mainly concentrate on the graduate process. You could kind of expect for most investment banks, if you're going through as a professional, then it's going to be a telephone interview or a live video interview. But for graduates, you'd expect a one-way video interview, which is basically a process where you are given questions on screen and you have to answer those questions. For Deutsche Bank, when we went through previous candidates' memories over the last 6 to 12 months, most people reported 3 to 4 questions using HireVue and the entire interview lasting about 10 minutes, which is probably 2 minutes to answer, 1 minute to think about your answer, something like that. So now we're going to go through the 7 most common questions that we came across for Deutsche Bank's video interview and how you can think about answering them. Question number 1, why Deutsche Bank? So I've just given you 5 fast facts, which should give you a little bit of a hint about how I like to think about answering this question. Basically, give 5 unique facts about the bank. Now we go to great pains to find unique facts. In fact, if you check out our Pass the Interview pack down in the description below, one of the handouts is 90 unique facts about Deutsche Bank along with their sources. What you want to think about with this answer is not giving a generic answer like it's a really big bank and it's really impressive and I get to work with great clients and a world-class team and blah blah blah, because any fact that you give should be unique to Deutsche Bank, i.e. I can't say to anybody else about Deutsche Bank's history or about the AI app that they created or about their quarterly results. This is something that's unique. It really doesn't take very much time. I would say 10 to 15 minutes. I've been through this process with a couple of people because I've been doing a lot of hourlies recently, and I always say for a publicly traded company, go to their website, go to investor relations and look for the investor day, media report, press kit, where the publicly traded company will break down in really easy to understand language, unique identifying factors about their business because they want to look good in front of their shareholders and stakeholders. Put that all together. If when you're reading out your answer, it starts to sound like a bit like just a laundry list, then try and relate 1 or 2 of those facts to yourself. So you could say, I really like the fact that they're going to invest 500 billion euros in sustainable financing because being sustainable is something I'm really passionate about because I recycle all the time. Now that might sound a little bit trite, but it's just an opportunity for you to inject yourself and your personality into answering this question. What I tend to find very often is that people will kind of say, I want to work for Deutsche Bank because it's great, and then they'll spend the next 2 minutes just talking about themselves. This is very much all about why Deutsche Bank and very little about you. Question number 2, why this industry or why this job? Now you can expect either or rather than both of these questions, but it could happen. A good way to think about starting to answer either of these questions is, what would you expect to experience or go through on a daily basis, whether that be working in finance, in investment banking, in asset management? And the same can be said for the industry as well as the role. What this does is it really just clearly demonstrates that you understand what you're going to be doing. A lot of people are attracted to work in investment banking, finance, these types of areas by the money, but they don't really understand what they're doing. Something to really think about as well is HireVue has, over 2,000 different points of data which it uses to generate its report about whether somebody passes or fails. But for me, I have to feel that, a much higher weighting goes on what is the content of the candidate's answer, and are they talking about keywords, phrases and sentences which demonstrate a really good understanding of the job description, whether that be finance, Excel, Python, discounted cash flow model, LBO, and so on and so forth. That's really what they're going to be looking out for. Now, you could present yourself in a really good way, but if the content of what you're saying has no relevance to the job description, it seems unlikely that you would pass, because this confidence is something that would impress a human, but a robot is probably going to have, a certain weighting towards how you present yourself and what you say, and what we would call emotional AI. But also, I would say practically, and in my mind, realistically, they would offer a higher weighting to exactly the content of what you're saying. Second half of this question, when you're answering it, is really about throwing into the ring 2 or 3 key skills that you feel are really important to be successful in this industry or in this role. So look at the job description, find out what other people are saying are key characteristics and skills, say that you have these, and also provide some form of 1-sentence proof. So I really have a deep and sustained interest in the financial markets because I have been part of the University of Ulster's finance department, where we regularly every month look at a different company that we might invest in our imaginary stock portfolio. for example. Question number 3, how do you keep up to date with recent financial trends? Now, first of all, there is an element of truth that needs to be injected into this. If you're watching this video and you're thinking about applying to Deutsche Bank or working in investment banking, or in finance, I highly suggest that you pick newsletter, website, or something that comes to you on a regular basis. I would say it doesn't need to be more regular than every, once a week, unless your story. Leading on to question 4, tell me about a recent piece of financial or business news. Now, a couple of things to think about with this one, and I've talked about it for a few of the other banks. I would always expect this question to come up for any bank, for any financial institution, for any professional services company, because it shows that you have a little bit of awareness about what's going on now, instead of just being, sitting there like a lemming thinking about what you should do. So you should subscribe to an industry news website. When you're choosing a piece of news, basically what you're doing is you're just summarizing the news and maybe giving your opinion at the end. So when you're summarizing the news, give me the facts, the figures, and the keywords, and try to remove your opinion. Only at the end would you try and maybe say what this means or what you think they should do. And I definitely recommend that you choose something which is microeconomic rather than macroeconomic. So I don't suggest that you talk about the general financial state of the US economy in 2 minutes. Not because you can't talk about it, I don't even know who you are, but it just seems really challenging to talk about that in 2 minutes. Whereas if you just talked about Apple's latest quarterly results, this seems much easier to talk about, or a blunder, a mistake, some regulatory issue, an interesting or new piece of technology. This just seems much easier to consume and talk about in 2 minutes. Question number 5. Introduce yourself and let us know why you want to be part of our team. Now, I love this question. It's very much the whole tell me about yourself. This is really reminiscent of a question that used to cause a lot of people trouble for Deloitte, which was introduce yourself to senior colleagues within your team. People get a little bit baffled and bamboozled by this question, but it's really pretty simple. Just tell me about yourself, basically. Within that, there should be enough content and context. You may adjust it slightly to include the skills that are relevant to the job. So you just say, what are you doing now? What have you done before? What would you like to do in the future? Work experience, extracurricular skills and activities, like clubs, societies, volunteering, and finally, additional skills and interests. And within that, you just might layer in a little bit, I think I'd be a great member of the team because I've got these 3 skills which are really important, which you would have learned from the job description, which you have put into why do you want to do this job, and you can just regurgitate this answer when you do tell me about yourself and introduce yourself to the team. Question number 6, what are some of your weaknesses? So, say for example you get 2 minutes to answer this question, I would pick out 1 weakness, maybe 2. Now, remember, a weakness is just a lesson that you have learned. So your weakness could be, sometimes in the past I've been disorganized. For example, there was a time when I was studying for school, had a part-time job, and was also a member of society, and I missed the deadline. What I learned from that was being disorganized isn't very helpful because I can't get everything done. These are the things that I did, and now I am better at this thing. For example, you might diarize or do lists or set alarms or say no to people. Whatever it may be, you can have a weakness. It doesn't really matter too much what it is. Of course, common sense will prevail that drunkenness or extreme violence are probably not weaknesses that you want to throw out there to your employer. But what you're going to want to do is just demonstrate how you've learned, how you've adapted, a sense of maturity and self-awareness that comes from that, to think, this is something that I'm bad at. So then I realized that and I did these things and now I'm good at this thing. Question number 7, what will this program offer you? This is kind of similar to why this job, but I think just really demonstrating a good understanding of the job description. What people will you be exposed to? What things will you learn? What qualification would you get? What type of environment would you be expected to work in? Where could you see yourself over the next 3 to 5 years? This is really demonstrating a bit more of an in-depth understanding of the job description, Maybe you look at some helpful website like prospects.ac.uk. Maybe you look at other people's stories or case studies having worked in the same role as you, to really demonstrate a good understanding about what you're going to get and what type of person you would need to be to really excel at this program. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this video about Deutsche Bank. Please consider to like, drop me a comment down below. I read all the comments. What's a video that you'd like us to make? What's something that you'd like us to talk about? If you've got an interview coming up, let us know. I love to read the comments from people who've come back and got jobs. That's amazing. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I wish you the best of luck. Goodbye.